everybody. Today we're visiting Roy Manifold, and he's the gentleman who took this very famous photograph you can see here. And there he is himself, Roy, and would you like to tell us something about the day you took that photo? Anything that you'd like to, that you remember about that stands out in your mind? Or
well, this photograph come around down at Cape Otway on the cliffs just forward of the back of the lighthouse, on top of the coast there, and I was taking the sunset. Took 6 consecutive photos.
Yep.
OM2, trying to get the sunrise, the variation of colours and everything like that. And that was it as far as I was concerned. I had what I wanted. Come inside, and inside the shack, which is right on top of the cliffs near the Cape Otway Lighthouse, our holiday shack. And that was it for the night. And just after coming inside, we heard a light aircraft pass over. And my wife said to me, "Oh, there's a light plane going, you're going to have a look at it, observe it." Yeah, generally I do.
Yeah.
It was nearing sunset, so it was quite cold out there, and I thought, I couldn't be bothered. No, and didn't take any more about it. It wasn't until the next morning when I went down to the rock, down the cliff, down to the waters, and walked around which I normally would do.
Yeah.
And I seen this Orion aircraft flying very, very low down the coastline, and I could see the pilots, and it was down exceptionally low.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that was okay. And then I come across some rock fishermen that were fishing down there, and they said, "Oh," I said, "what's that plane doing?" You know, they said, "Oh, he's looking for that aeroplane that went missing last night. Didn't you hear about it? There's a light aircraft that had disappeared." And they said, "We seen it." And they said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, I heard it, I didn't see it." And I said, "Oh, they'll find him in the Cape Otway Ranges somewhere." They believed that if he wasn't in, they couldn't locate him in the water, or they would have known straight away, basically. From that, and within 24 hours, they were 12 hours, and it was actually disappeared. And that was it. And it wasn't until 3 or 4 months later that I noticed there was what I called an emulsion error, or some sort of a thing on my negatives. And I put it all together, and I realised that was taken on the same night that pilot had disappeared. And it was only when I read the papers about Quentin Poe, he spotted this, spotted that, and I thought, "Oh, I must go and get this negative analysed and see what the developing error that was on it." Took it down to Kodak, down to head office in Coburg in Elizabeth Street. Spent an hour or something with them, and they come back and they said, "Oh, it's definitely not a developing error." That's all we can tell you. That's, if you want to leave it with us, we'll go into it further, but I said, "Oh no, don't worry about it." And I said, "Oh, I don't know why I said that even."
Was that because you didn't want to leave it with them?
Yes, for some strange intuition I didn't have at that point of time, realising of the importance of it, or significance.
That's the photo there that we're talking about, that one there.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
And that's the thing on the side there, which looked like an emulsion error of some kind.
Well, yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. According
No,
to Kodak.
definitely. Well, that's what they said. The one that they've done with developing, they said no.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I've used your photo in many talks. I've often been asked to give UFO talks, and I often use that photo and explain that to people as probably the most mysterious photograph ever taken in Australian UFO history or aviation history, because it's connected with the disappearance of that plane.
It is, there's no question.
And it's a very unusual object. I've also pointed out that the shape of that object is very, very similar to some other objects that have been photographed, or other UFO cases have had objects that are that shape at the bottom. That's kind of rounded at the very bottom there. It's almost like the very bottom of it is like a conical shape, but it's sort of pointy at the bottom and going out wider at the top. And in 2 other very well-known cases that we've come across, the same sort of thing was described. One of them was the Travis Walton case in America,
Mm-hmm.
when he was missing on board one of these vehicles for about 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And when they dropped him off after those 5 days, he saw this thing flying away, and his brother-in-law was an artist, and he drew a sketch based on what Travis guided him how to draw it to make it look like what he saw, and it's the same shape as the bottom of that thing. Yeah, and that's the Valenti's case. This was the Valenti's case. The other one was the Travis Walton case, and that they made a movie out of that called Fire in the Sky. And we had a case here in Melbourne, a lady called Diane McCool in Wantirna, and she was an artist, and she said she saw this thing hovering over the back of her property in Wantirna. This is about 10 years ago, and I got her to do a sketch of the shape of the craft, and it's exactly the same as that. The bottom half of that thing there.
Okay, yeah.
Pointy at the bottom and wider at the top, and with windows all the way around there. So that's a little bit different again. Another very interesting thing about Roy's photograph here is there's a sort of blue area on the side there.
There's actually like starlets around it. That was pointed out in the computer analysis about that as electronic sort of things that are staticky there.
When I've looked at it, I've thought it looks like sparkly
exactly.
something or other, like static electricity or something
That's right.
like that.
Yeah,
or
that's right.
maybe this is the ball lightning that all of the debunkers say it wasn't a UFO, it was just the ball lightning. Well, there's the UFO, and it's got the ball lightning too. So I like that. It's got both. Yeah, so it's a very interesting photograph. I believe that Bill Spaulding of Ground Saucer Watch in America was sent the photo for analysis.
That's right. Yeah.
And he said
The negative, actually, not the negative. The original negative was sent over there to be computer analysed and
so it was
everything.
negative film too. You weren't shooting slide film.
No,
it was
no, no.
negative
It was
film.
a negative.
Okay.
The original negative was taken there.
Well, his analysis showed that the top of that object was very shiny, and that was reflecting light on the top. And now some critics have said, well, that can't be true, it can't be right, because you've got the sun behind going down, so how can that be reflecting any light on that side? It should be dark on that side and reflecting on the other side. And you know what, that's really common with UFO photographs, that the lighting seems to be around the wrong way in many UFO photographs.
Yeah, well, I got six prints come back from there, and they had one was contour edge, one was digitalised, and several other technical names they used. That
one was contrast enhancing.
yeah, contrast enhancement was another one, and they said that it was definitely a solid object. They couldn't identify what it was, but all they could say was it was conclusively that it was. Their conclusion was that it was definitely a solid object, not a puff of smoke or not an emulsion error or anything like that. It was.
If you look at the image you've got there, you can see part of it is a solid object and part of it is kind of a vaporous kind of thing. That thing on the side there, on the right hand side of it, looks like steam or smoke or something that's come out. That's got a vaporous look, but the rest of it is solid. So
yeah,
it's got both.
The unfortunate part about it was that because I didn't see it and I didn't hear it, this is the thing that really is concerned in the fact that say, well, I didn't get the camera and say, oh, there it is, I shot it. That didn't happen.
No, you just were taking photos.
Yeah, I was just taking photos, and I wasn't looking for anything like that. You know, it could have quite easily, if you're looking through a lens, you're not sort of listening for noises or much either too. You know, you're just concentrating on that basically. But no, that's how it all happened, and that's the story to it really. And I don't know really how you could explain that, you know.
Well, that's what I said, it's very mysterious. One of the things about that photo too is that is very prominent. That weird thing, whatever it is, it's very prominent in the photograph.
That's right.
It's very difficult to determine how far it is from the camera.
That's right.
Really. I mean, you get the impression
I
that
mean,
it's not far away.
all sorts of people have had calculations and everything, all experts, and they're all quite varying anyway.
Yeah.
So it is obvious it was something you sort of can't pinpoint. And also you'll notice on two of the other negatives on this, you'll see a rise of water out of the wave. On one of the waves was someone indicated, oh, there was something come up too as well. well, it had something to do with this thing that was flying, you know. That was the other thing
There
too.
was 1 or 2 photos before this one.
That's right.
And there was something coming up
That's
in the
right.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a broken wave that went over a rock or something, but you can't see none of the others now. That is another thing, you know. Who knows?
Wasn't there a story that somebody saw it coming out of the water?
Yeah,
Object,
there
or-
was,
I don't know.
there was some suggestion there was an underground station underneath there, and you know, it just sort of went on, and imaginations got carried away with a lot of
as
people
they
too.
often
You know?
do,
Yes, that's right.
yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that this here is not an imagination; it's something that's there, and
And it's solid.
it's solid. I was believed to anyway, from what I'm told,
Mm.
from the Grand Source of Watch over in America and from Arizona, and that's it. That's what we've been left with, really.
Well, there we have it. It's the most mysterious photograph in Australian UFO history, and there it is. Yeah.
Mm.
Thanks very much, Roy.
Okay,
It's been
then.
really good to meet you and to hear about your case. And,
Yeah.
It's a very, very interesting case. And,
It's still a mystery.
it is
Still-
absolutely.
Still a mystery, yeah.
Yeah.
Unsolved.
Hello, welcome again to Euthanaut Australia. Today we're interviewing Brenda Manifold. This is Roy's wife who took the photo down at Cape Otway. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
That's okay. Now obviously that was a very interesting evening for you, and obviously at the time you didn't realise what you were up for.
No, we did not. No, it was very unexpected, really.
Okay, and what sort of, how did the night eventuate with the photo and so forth?
Well, as the interview went with Roy, we were down at Cape Otway for that weekend. It was Caulfield Cup weekend.
hmm
That's how I know, and that was 33 years ago. And my husband was set his camera up on the hill to take the sunset.
Okay,
And he had his son with him, my son, Jason.
yes.
And I had the 2 girls, my daughter Sandy and her friend Jenny. And we were just down in the shack,
Okay.
which is the shack just up from Crayfish Bay.
All right,
That's at
yeah.
Cape Otway there. And it was a beautiful night.
Lovely
or
sunset.
or evening it was. It was
Mhm.
a very still day. And it was, not that cold, but it
Mhm.
wasn't a warm night.
So kind of a mild
A
night.
mild night,
Yeah.
and with the shacks down there at Cape Otway, they were really beautiful and overlooking the what do you call the bay there?
Sharks Bay?
No, Crayfish
Crayfish
Bay.
Bay? Yeah,
yes.
okay. Yep.
And we were overlooking the water,
Mhm.
and my husband come in after taking the sunset, and all of a sudden I heard this plane go across the cabin, and I said to Roy, "Oh, there's a plane," because he's so interested in the aircraft, and he says, "Oh, I can't be bothered. I've already been outside."
So was with that particular plane that you heard that night, was that the first and only plane you heard for that night?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes, and it was approximately, well, like sunset.
Yeah.
So it was about the time, which now turns out is when this Palek Valentic, Frederick, went missing.
Okay. And when it passed over and you could hear it, did it fade off into the distance?
Well, it did actually, but apart from anything else, that was all that we heard, and then we didn't take any notice of it in the end because we didn't hear any more.
Okay.
And so in the morning, like we always do, go for a walk down the beach, down past the rocks, and we see these fishermen down there. And as Roy explained, the big plane was coming along the water at this time, looking for any debris. And apart from that, we don't know any more.
So you didn't see any debris
No,
yourself?
we didn't know.
And was there any other people that were staying down there overnight at the time, or
Oh,
were you pretty much the only guys there?
Oh, as I said to you, it was my son Jason, the daughter and her friend,
Yep.
and also my nephew.
But no other people that you know
No, not in our shack
Yeah,
anyhow, but
yeah.
there's always people down there.
of? Okay, okay. So obviously after all this happened and you started to ask the questions, what's going on, eventually it all came out that Fred had vanished over
That's-
over the water.
That's right. yeah.
Did you ever get any questions from any government officials in
No.
regards to that?
No, no.
So they never approached you,
No,
or
we
that
didn't have-
CASA didn't contact
No,
you?
not at all.
So
no.
that's really interesting, isn't it, folks? Because why did CASA not want to talk to these people when they were amongst it? This is where the event happened, and they didn't want to know. I just don't understand that.
No, well, no one else, no one bothered to talk to us, no, not
Okay,
at all.
okay. So we're coming up, as we filmed this, for the 33rd year of the anniversary of Fred's disappearance. Over the years, have you often wondered about what
Oh.
happened?
Every year, I mean, we always get people coming to, you know, talk to Roy
Hmm.
about the event.
So even today, that still
Even
happens,
today,
like us, I guess.
As I was about to say to you, even you ringing today, the other day to say you're coming today,
Yep.
it always happens on near enough to the anniversary, and it is, well, 33 years.
Okay.
And
I
it's
guess that's kind of changed your lives to some extent.
well, everyone says, what were you doing 33 years ago? Well, I do know what I was doing 33 years ago.
And you probably get sick of the same question.
Yes, no, it was, as I say, I always enjoyed our time down at Cape
Yeah.
Otway.
Yeah.
And Roy he's always taking photos, and these particular prints, we couldn't understand why there was this, they kept saying it was a blotch or a puff of smoke or it was a blemish.
Yeah.
But as Roy explained, those technical things I don't know too much about.
Mhm.
But when I got the prints back from being developed, I opened them up and I thought, oh, what's happened here? I thought there must have been a smudge
Mhm.
on, you know, how you think when
Yeah.
the photo's been taken,
Yep,
because
yep.
they were the old style.
Yeah,
film.
and that sort of thing did happen at the time.
And I
didn't
thought,
it?
no. So when Roy come home, he had a look at them, and that was sort of it. And then when Quentin Fogarty was over in New Zealand, that happened, and then Roy took our photos and negatives to Channel 10, and they didn't want anything to do with it.
Mhm.
And then it all
Mm,
come
mm.
about.
So at what period of time did all it quieten down for you after the event? Was it a case of looking out the window every day and seeing a TV camera out there?
No.
It never happened
No,
like
it
that?
never happened. No. There was one time, a company by the name of Nippon came and interviewed Roy.
Hmm.
I think they were from Japan,
Japan, yeah.
and he did an interview for them, but that
So
was it.
where did that go? Was that?
We haven't seen anything of that.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, thank you very much for the short interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thanks, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.